Welcome to Solo Therapy, Season 3, Episode 1, Part 3. Hi there, I'm Ben, I'm autistic. This is my therapy substitute, for psychotherapy that is, just because one, I've got to cope with life somehow, especially if life is complex, which apparently it is. Well, I don't know, it appears complex. That we can say with certainty. I've done the previous two parts beforehand, so you can look at those in the backlog of this channel or wherever, top right hand side of your browser should be recommended. Then again, apparently these days people look at the stuff on phones. The kids these days, you know. This will most certainly be the final part of this session, of this episode. So Season 3, Episode 1, Part 3 of 3. The one thing I want to address here, that I haven't in the others because it's a hella loaded subject, is once again a simile, analogy, parallel of traffic. In this case, not as in Part 2 with the behaviour of others, but with my own. Because, you know, that's what this is for. In the past few sessions, end of Season 2, we can confidently say, I've been reiterating the idea of me speeding on the regular. This has not changed. I still think I'm speeding. But I want to kind of dive in deep on that. Because just because I say I'm speeding, I think I'm speeding, doesn't mean I actually do. For we do have tachometers in cars, but they legally are not allowed to show less than you are doing, which means they usually show too much. And from then on, you reach a point of interpretation, which is dependent on the individual. In the past, my own threshold had been just shy of that of the tachometer, and I was a slower participant in traffic, probably top 20th percentile of slow participants. These days, I am probably within the top 10th percentile of fast participants in traffic. And my perception of speed hasn't changed. I've changed how I interpret the numbers based on signs, so speed limits, as to my interpretation of speed. Because this is presumably an overcorrection, but it is a correction for my understanding of the subjectivity of speed and my, in the past, being in the top 20th percentile of slow people. Which means I'm now overcompensating, and if I do this long enough, live long enough and all that, participate in traffic long enough, I'll eventually reach a median. That's the idea, at least, anyways. So, do I speed? Well, I haven't got done for speeding more than twice since I've had my licence. One time right after I got it, well, year after I got it, and once half a year ago. And the frequency hasn't changed, and if there is speed cameras, which I usually see, the other day I actually saw the reflection of a flash in an HGV parked on the side of the road, of a car up ahead that was speeding and got done. I don't even have to adjust my speed. Sometimes I am adjusting it ever so slightly just because I want to be on the conservative end of what I estimate the speed to be, which would be the tachometer. But in reality, it's not like I have to slow down for speed cameras. I just don't accelerate anymore. I'm not on the throttle. I'm slightly off the throttle, but I'm still far away from the brakes. Which makes me think, in the eyes of the executive, the plod, the Roses, I'm not speeding. Then again, they also haven't pulled me over. Not once within this country in quite a while. I get pulled over on the border regularly, but that's a different story for another time, you know. Well, told it quite a few times in the past. So, yeah, we'll most certainly be telling it again. Because that's the cyclicity of life. Why do I do what I call speeding? Past me would have called speeding like a maniac. Really, for me, is one main reason, and that is you get the continuous cycles of green traffic lights. I believe you have to be going like 5 to 10 over at a 60 speed limit. So that'd be up to what? Doing the brain maths here. 13.6% over, so up to 115% of the speed limit. But you'll get continuous green lights. I've driven from the other end of town to here without a single red light, which is just so smooth. And I believe it to be in the spirit of the law as to hindrance and so on of smooth traffic flow. Because at the end of the day, what's lights good for? Lights good for if people have to stop for them all the time. Optimally, the lights are just there for the people who join the road. You know, or have joined with since the last set of lights. And from that point on, it's all smooth sailing. Another aspect is not the why, but the do-I aspect, do-I speed. One thing I've observed for a long time, even when I was in the slower percentiles of speeders, of drivers, of motorists, not even speeders, I accelerate. When the light turns green, I'm on the throttle. I believe this to not be true for a lot of other people. For in the past, I've looked at my dash cam footage after the fact, just to make sure my light was green, because I'd had 200 metres gap by the time the cars behind me left. But they're all just distracted, you know, or whatever. Car stuck in neutral. And the end of the day, it's not economical to accelerate heavily. But if you accelerate heavily, you end up getting to the speed limit quicker, which means you actually get to join waves of green lights, which means you have fewer red lights, which overall is fuel economically not a bad idea. In theory, at least, you know. And I do think that sometimes I objectively speed for the shared reality we all have. I am faster than the signs on the numbers on the speed limit indicate one should be going. But in those cases, if I were to go the numbers on the speed limit signs, one example I'm thinking of is a bridge quite a ways down the road, which is 30 when wet speed limit, 30 kph, 20 mile an hour approximately. In the past, at times, I did do the speed limit there, not more. Even the Rosas, the plod, overtook me without any flashy blue lights, together with all the other traffic. I think those signs are either just misplaced or whoever placed them cared at that time, but they've since been replaced by someone who doesn't care. Back to caring from part 2, eh? Fun how that works. It's almost time for our third brew of tea. Oh no. Fancy. Put some water in. Today's tea is Gyokuro Nakatani, which is hand-picked, to my understanding, green tea that's been in the shadow for 21 days before harvest. From Japan. Green tea, that is, of course. So, yeah, it's Gyokuro Nakatani from my go-to tea dealer, Cos Tea, Oliver Seifert. Also run the tea house, Make Tea Not War, which I am very fond of. I believe as close to inner peace as I'm getting anytime soon, being in that tea joint. Which is ironic because I go there being faster than many other vehicles and participants in traffic and motorists. I chill out and then I go back quicker than many motorists do, without getting done for speeding, without slowing down for speed cameras. That having been said, I believe other participants in traffic, mostly motorists to be fair, because cyclists don't usually have the capabilities to go as fast. I think of them as I do of the weather, for there is days which the rest of traffic is very well above what I perceive to be the speed limit. And then there is days on which they are very far below what I perceive to be a speed limit. And I believe my perception to be constant in this case, because the numbers on my car tell me is constant, and I don't think the car's changing overnight, so I think of it as I do with the weather, because at the end of the day, if it's snowy or icy here in Berlin, even though they do grip the roads and clear the snow and so on, and with proper tyres, one can do a brake check if no one's behind one, and stop in the same distance as when it's just wet on the regular. Tea. People go like a third of the speed limit, what I perceive to be the speed limit, which in itself is conservative, my perception, I believe to be. And at those points, you can overtake a pack of cars per set of traffic lights, which don't feel right because I'm moving a big car. It's a 2 metric ton van, Volkswagen Transporter T5, long wheelbase, with the smallest 2-litre diesel engine you can get, 84 horse. And one might think it's irresponsible, but it's not like I just go that speed without having made sure I can stop in reasonable distances for within less than 2 seconds behind other people and so on. I just think a lot of people aren't there when they're driving. Whether it's absent-minded, oh no, family member died, which, happens. So is life. So is life and so is death. Or whatever else might be going on, bad grade at uni, who knows, boss hate you, partner cheat on you, whatever. You might have other things going on, but so many people appear to be cognitively so absent when operating heavy machinery, like lethal heavy machinery, that is just, worrisome. I just don't get it. Because at the end of the day, the kinetic energy in a car is 2 to 3 orders of magnitude easily of that of a human. Which is a lot of energy, because a human can kill someone with a punch. And 2, let's say conservatively 2 orders of magnitude more than that, is very bad energy-wise. Well, it's very good energy-wise, but it's very bad for humans that hit it. And as with property, with power, and in this case momentum, comes responsibility. It's just, I don't think many people care enough, back to part 2, to acknowledge that responsibility. At least that's what it appear like, I'm now wondering whether I don't edit these and just upload them straight the old school way, because I really don't like post-production. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you are still around, wouldn't mind a comment. Let me know what you think of the format change. Well managed, Hope you manage too. I'll see you around. Stay safe. Love you.